Hello, this is Randall, the Michigan Tropical Gardener, and I have just made up a batch of potting soil. It is made up of vermiculite, which you can see, the white specks. It's also made up of organic garden soil, a big bag of it, which I sifted. I have a sifter that I intended to use on my worm castings, but the worm castings that I have are pretty moist, shall we say. And plus, I'm afraid that I'm going to do damage to the worms, so I haven't really used it for that. But I used it for this organic garden soil. Why would I do that? Well, because it has chunks of sticks and unbroken down matter, things like that, and I don't want that in my potting mix. So I got the bright idea to get that stuff out of there and used my sifter. So that's in there. So I've got the organic garden soil, I've got the vermiculite, I've got cocoa peat, and I've got worm castings. And in there are some worms, no doubt, and some baby worms just because, well, you know, they're in there. And a few other bugs that are in the stuff, and can't seem to get rid of them. So, what am I going to use that for? Well, I'm putting it in the pot that I had my olive tree in, which died. It was helped along the way by bugs. Let's see, it had scale, I believe, and that was probably the major cause of it, and it really couldn't survive, couldn't make a comeback from that. Also, there's a citrus tree, needs to be repotted. Here is my Cuban Red Banana plant, which is in need of a repotting. So, why is it in the bucket? Well, I'm glad you asked that. It's in the bucket because it's in the container. And when I say it's in the container, I mean it's in the container. And it does not want to come out. Undoubtedly, it has put the roots into, well, not into, but it is spread out so that it's in there, you know, clinging to the inside of the container. And so I'm going to add water, and the water should help to separate it from the pot, and then once that happens, I will be able to take it and repot it into a larger container. I hope. So we will do that. Other things that I wanted to do, I wanted to repot a citrus tree that I have. I'll quickly show you that. What is it? Well, I don't know, you tell me. I lost the tag that I had on it, and I'm not really sure. I know it's citrus, not really sure what kind. Anyway, another day for that. So, I will add the water to this, and hopefully it will come out without too much of a fight. Back in a moment. Okay, I used water that I caught in milk containers, milk jugs. It's the water that is sucked out of the air by the, well, it's the dehumidifier in the furnace. And so I was using that to get rid of the excess dirt around the roots. And as you can see, yeah, those roots, they're clinging to the sides like nobody's business. They do not want to come out. So I may just continue using water from the faucet and try to get the rest of the soil out of there. Not letting it go down the drain. That's what I do not want to do. And then I'll get back with you once again. So there's a nice dark rich soil that was in there. And the funny thing is, I was concerned that the plant, the banana plant, which is leaning, that the root system might not have been very robust, shall we say. And I was concerned that the plant was going to fall over and that the roots weren't very big and weren't very good. That I didn't have much of a root system, and well, you know, the joke's on me. Okay, back in a moment. Okay. We are now successful, and I can get my fingers in there. There we go. So there is the root system. Better to have too many than too few. And I'll set that in there, and then transport it over and put it into my pot. Okay. There we go. Try to get it a little straighter than it was. And I think I may put a little more soil in there, raise it up a little. You do want to leave an inch and a half, so that when you water it, it doesn't overflow. And also I put a few more drainage holes in this pot. I tried doing that with that container over there, using a hand drill. And when I say hand drill, it really is a hand drill. And it cracked. Cheap plastic. Okay. Well, I can't do this. I've only got two hands, thankfully. And so what I shall do is set you aside for the moment, and then when you come back, there will be more soil in here. All right. We're all set. Now all I have to do is fill it in. There's a root going in the wrong direction. Down, boy. There you go. I'm not going to break the roots apart, as the plant will correct itself. Regardless of how root bound it is, it'll take care of itself. I do follow the Logi's method. That's how they do it. They've got a lot more experience than I do, so there may be some who disagree with that. To each his own. However works for you, I say do it that way. Okay. Certainly a lot more interesting when you're using one hand. Normally I'd put the camera in the holder that I made. Not today. Now this is the Cuban Red Banana plant that I received from a station in Puerto Rico. It's part of the USDA program. They handle some of the tropical plants. And when I received it, it was just a little slip of a thing in a plastic sealed container, well, plastic sealed bag. And I followed the protocols, which works. If you don't follow the protocols, not so much. And so this is the result. It is doing well, considering it's in Michigan, and considering that I kept it inside. I did not take it outside, which I don't do with my banana plants. I probably would have a lot more success, but you have to make sure that they don't get whipped by heavy winds and some of the other problems that will come trying to raise a banana plant, tropical plant in a temperate climate. Even when it is hot here, it's not the same as in the tropics. So I kept it inside, although my other banana plant, it has a couple of pups, and if they successfully grow, because they're underneath the leaves and they're not getting a lot of light, if I can get those to grow, then I'll separate them, and next summer I will put them outside. Okay, so lightly tap down on this. I'll probably have to add some more soil. Try to even things out. And one of the other problems that you have to take into consideration when raising tropicals or subtropicals is that the light, well, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a tropical, subtropical, or you know, a pepper plant or a tomato plant, which are, you know, more like tropicals anyway. But any plant inside, the light inside is not the same as the sun. No matter how large the wattage, no matter, you know, what color spectrum you're using, it's just not the same. And so the more light you have, of course, the better the plant is going to do, unless you got it too close and it burns it. But light, heat, water, food, you know, those are the things. And if you're trying to raise more than one variety of plant, then you run into a lot of other problems, because plants, some plants are a lot different, even though they're tropical or subtropical. Where they grow could be a higher elevation. It could be drier conditions, whole spectrum of things. And so you might not be successful with all your plants, but if you stick to one or two, and if they're the same, you know, like banana plants, then you can set things up and you should have a great deal of success. And then there's also the threat of insects. When you take things outside and you bring them back in, you generally bring in different insects with you, so that can be a problem. Or you may have some things inside the house, and they're not usually a problem because you don't have any plants for them to attack, and then lo and behold, they have something to eat, and they do. So all these different things to consider. This is going to settle once I start watering it. The soil is pretty moist, so I'm not going to water it now. So there we have it. My red Cuban banana plant, repotted in a larger container. The reason that I put it in a much larger container than the one that it was in is that it really needed to be repotted up several sizes. Normally you don't want a size that's twice as big. Well, you can go a size and a half generally, but the size of the plant dictates that it's in a larger container like this, so there shouldn't be a problem. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the segment, and thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.